Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Aletha joining me. Hey, Aletha.
Hey.
Hey guys, we have an exciting video on how to get your ex back, and we've also got a success story from one of Aletha's clients. It's an amazing story. We're going to talk about, when things aren't happening and when you go to persist. We're going to give you some tips and tricks on how, you can remotivate yourself if you're feeling, this isn't happening, or if you're tired of waiting. We're definitely going to cover all of that and read the success story. So I'm really excited for that. Just before we dive into it, guys, Aletha's 50% off coaching sale is ending soon. Definitely check out the link in the description below. And as you know, you guys, we have a free course. If you haven't already gotten it, please definitely check it out. It's how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. We got a lot of great feedback from it, and it is a free course that I created, and it is in the description below. And I'm just going to throw it out here, guys. We have manifestation journals. These journals are amazing. Definitely check it out. They're on Amazon, and they basically walk you through your goals, identifying your limiting beliefs and changing them into your positive intentions. So it's to help you build a good mental diet. So once you get clear on what you don't want, you get clear on what you do want, and then, from there you're golden. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. I'm so excited for this video.
Okay, yeah, my success story. This lady that I was working with was so distraught. She was really upset when we first began talking. And then we gave her some intentions and assumptions and things to do to help get her to go through all of that. And what had happened was we were working together, and she was working, going through all the intentions and the things that I had shared with her. And about an hour later, she said she got a call from her SP, the person that had broken up with her, and wanted to talk, which had been a while since they had talked. And so she was all excited about that. And then I received word again that the person actually called back later and set up a date so that they went out together. And then something interesting, the person actually sort of kind of broke the date, and then within the day saying that they didn't feel well. So she kept intending and persisting that no, they're going to show up, they're going to be here, they're going to keep their date, and we're going to have this wonderful evening together. And the person called back about an hour or so later and said, you know what, I do feel better, and I will see you then. So she continued persisting in the assumption, in the story that she wanted to experience, and that's what showed up in her world, that it actually manifested. And it wasn't weeks, it was hours of time, so you need to persistence is good.
Exactly. So they were broken up, and then they were basically going on a date, and they ended up getting back together. So that is absolutely amazing. So there was obviously some more work that they did in there to revise the old story. But I think, what we're going to focus on here is a lot of the persistence, right? I know sometimes it can be difficult because we say persist, persist, persist. So one of the tips that I would give if you're persisting and nothing's showing up and you're tired of waiting is to start changing the intentions that you're using. Change them up, because if you're saying the same ones, the same affirmations and intentions over and over and over again, start changing them up. Start going for new ones, start adding some new stuff in there. What are you going to see, hear, and feel? What is the other person thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly. And revising stories if you need to do all of that. And one of the things that I have shared with people is that the word persist or to persist is a verb, and it's about taking action. It's about moving into a situation, about realizing that there is work involved here. The work being, I'm going to persist in the story. I'm going to resist the urges that come to me to fall back into the negative story, to fall back into the old story, and to live from places of fear, but to persist in knowing that I'm living from the end, that I do have this, that it is on its way. It's happening now, and staying with that, persisting in that, and remembering that it's a verb. It means I need to take action, and the action I take is me staying in the new story, no matter what gets thrown at me from the 3D or my own mind.
Exactly. And one thing that I do when I'm persisting for something, and then we'll get into how to revise your story from a breakup or, an argument, is what I do when I'm persisting and I'm not seeing results in my 3D yet. I start manifesting little tiny things. Okay. And little tiny things that'll make me go, okay. So like, for instance, one thing that I do often, right. And I'll be like, oh, I intend to see, a subscriber comment a success story on our YouTube channel. And then sure enough, you know what? Not even like 10 minutes later, I'll see something and then I'll be like, okay, you know what? This is working. So it's the little tiny things. Like, the other day I was intending I would get free stuff and I always get great deals. And of course I'm persisting with things I want to create, but I was kind of feeling like that day, like I'm like, oh, just going through the motions and not seeing the magic in my life. So all of a sudden I was at the grocery store and we had like 3 cases of pop at the bottom of the cart. And so we put all the groceries there and we said to the guy, we got pop underneath. It's just heavy. So they always scan it. And he basically he would acknowledged us and then he didn't scan it. And he told me the total. And of course, me and Andrea are just way too, too honest. So we were like, oh, you didn't scan the pop. And he kind of gave me a dirty look. And then he scanned 2 of them, not the 3rd one. And I said, oh, you missed one. And he's like, no, I didn't. You're wrecking it. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, sure. And so then I was like, fine. So then I was like, I didn't know where that comment came from. And Andrew's like, why would he say that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, whatever. Anyway, so we packed up the car and, and it just we're driving home and just, I thought I should check the receipt. So I checked the receipt and sure enough, he didn't scan the 3rd one, even though he was like, and I was like, you're wrecking it. I'm like, it must have it was like, it's so weird that he would say that. It was just so odd because we see this cashier all the time. So he basically gave us free pop, right? And then we decided, because who doesn't go out for fast food after you just bought a ton of groceries, right? So we go through the again, fried chicken, the KFC drive-through, Kentucky Fried drive-through, and we order our chicken sandwiches, meals, and then we get to the window and he's like, oh, by the way, we have coupons out. So I just applied the coupon for you. And there is my deal, right? And in that moment, I was like, why do I worry about anything? Why do I worry about anything? And in that moment, it gave me so much inspiration to start persisting again, going, okay, you know what? I got this. Like, I am God. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it reminds us of how powerful we are. We tend to forget. We get slumped down into the old way of thinking that, I am conditioned by everything and I can't do this, I can't. The truth is, we are in control of everything and we are God and we are powerful. And I do the same thing with green lights. I hate sitting and wasting my gas. So and there's a lot of traffic where I live, so I'm constantly saying, always green, and I'm just buzzing right through all that. And I'm just red and I'm getting close. I'll start to apply the brake. And then all of a sudden, it's like, because I'm saying green, always green, it turns green.
It turns green. Exactly.
So my grandkids love it because when they're with me, we don't have red lights. It's always green. It's always green. So.
I love it. I love it. And so now it's the other part to getting your ex back, right? Is so we've kind of done this backwards. So we're going to persist, but what story are we going to persist in, right? Well, we need to revise whatever breakup that we had, right? So, how I like to do it, right, is I take a look through everything, right? And I'm like, well, they were probably just upset. They said things they didn't mean, they do want to be with me. Or if I feel bad that I've created something that I don't like, I'll be like, no, they're very understanding and forgiving. Or if I feel like they're in the wrong, then I will, intend that they take responsibility and apologize. Actually, even if I'm in the wrong, I still intend that they take responsibility and apologize, because who doesn't like an apology, right? But the point is when you go to revise this, you have to revise and change that story so much and shift your perspective on it that you're no longer angry and digging in your heels, because you can't hold the state of I'm mad and you know what, they need to prove to me that they want to be with me and then intend that they're going to be with you. You literally have to shift into that forgiving, understanding, apologetic state yourself. Like, you need to let go of all of the emotion around the breakup, all the negative emotion, and switch into that, okay, you know what, like, I mean, I normally will apologize just because I genuinely feel bad that I made someone show up in a way that was very unpleasant, because I'm like, so when I say Jerry shows up and he's mad at me and he's angry and yelling at me, I feel like I forgive myself and basically apologize for having him show up that way, because that couldn't have been nice for him. But that doesn't mean I take the blame for it. Right?
No. And I like how, that's a sensitivity to the other person, because ultimately we are the creators of our reality and the people conform to our thoughts. And I love hearing that person give me an apology and taking responsibility in the apology, but then also understanding what you just said is like, but my thoughts created them to have that attitude in those and towards me anyway. Did they just me creating them to have that cause them some grief? Yeah, because now they're having to go through negative stuff too, just like I did. And so everything you said is so valuable and important. And because what it does was realizing all of that as we're wanting them to take responsibility, we need to take responsibility that we're literally the ones started this whole thing with our thoughts. And then we both get our apologies. But then we also have to remember that we create from who we are. So if I am truly in the state where I have revised it and I'm feeling good about this new situation that I revised from the old breakup or whatever it was, then I am coming at everything with a whole new persona. It's a whole new me, a whole new thought, a whole new state of consciousness. And that's what we create from our states of consciousness. So we can't be being angry and resentful on one hand and saying, no, I revised it and it's all good now. And this is the new story. At the same time, I'm holding anger. So we have to really check inside with ourselves and be really observant what's going on inside of us, because we do create from the state of consciousness that we are actually occupying and living from. And we
Exactly. And our thoughts create our emotions. Like, and if somebody like Jerry says something to me and it truly, hurts my feelings or makes me angry, then I've given it that meaning. And, he'll say something, let's say he said something and then it got me upset. Well, now I'm upset. I'm holding on to it. And that thought that he said it, I'm like, oh, he's so mean, or he doesn't care, that is what makes me upset, right? So we need to change the thoughts that are making those feelings come about. And that's really what you're aiming for when you revise something. You're letting go of that old story. You're letting go of those negative emotions. And we know if you were to say, like, look at Jerry's mad at me and he'll never forgive me, that feels like, eh. But if I was to say, Jerry's so forgiving and understanding, and you know what, he's actually going to take responsibility and apologize to me for this, I mean, that feels so much better. Like, do you know what I mean? So, be aware of what's inside. I mean, you're shifting your internal feeling. That's your temperature gauge, right? And, so if you are persisting and you're not getting results, and change up those intentions, change up those affirmations, add more in there. There's probably an old thought or two that is lingering around that hasn't quite been shifted yet. It's not just about, doing, 10 of the same affirmations. Your thoughts evolve and shift, and, you want to catch them and change the ones that aren't serving you, right? And you need to evolve your mental diet as you go. Like, my mental diet about money may be different from yesterday than it will be today, just because I've got new thoughts about it. Right?
Yeah, because different things in life happen and then we adjust differently and our thought patterns change and our assumptions change. And we need to make sure that when those things do alter from the story that we're wanting to create, that we're aware of what those thoughts are, and are they in alignment with what we actually want, or did we get a little guy sneak in there that's not good for me, and that I'm unconsciously aware that I'm allowing myself to dwell on. So that's when being the observer is so important, and that's a part of the persistent thing. And I really, I don't know about how, I just think that persistence really is a matter of disciplining yourself to say this. Here's this old story, here's the new story. I've revised it. This is what I want it to be. And now, no matter what, I'm going to stick to that. And then each time you slip and fall off of it, which we do, that's okay. It comes right back, because you can just change it up immediately once you've had a negative thought and you realize you're thinking and oh, no, that's not what I want. So then you change it up to what you do want, and then you're back on target again. And so it's not like beating myself up, but it is a matter of making a concerted effort and discipline yourself to be persistent and stay in it.
Exactly. Like, I mean, a really good example. So when do you do a mental diet, right? So you do a mental diet whenever you think of the situation. Okay. So let's go back like a week or two. Me and Andrew were arguing over something really dumb. He did something, I reacted. And then next thing you know, I mean, of course I can't tell him we argue over dumb things, but trust me, it's dumb things. So so that day, my mental diet about my relationship was a lot different than it is today. So like that day, it was like, okay, you know what? He's over it. He's going to apologize. He's going to take responsibility. You know what? He's like forgiven me. He understands I just reacted. He knows it's not a big deal. Like that was my mental diet that day to revise that. And then eventually we made up, and then everything was fine. And then my mental diet went, to, okay, you know what? We always get along, because I was like, okay, we had this huge fight. I didn't want to fight again. So we always get along, we're always understanding of each other. When one of us reacts to the other, we're the bigger person, and, we just let it go. We don't take anything personally. We never take it personally. And then, fast forward to this week, everything has been great for a couple weeks. Now my mental diet today is he absolutely loves me. We're never going to break up. We're planning our wedding. We always have good time together. I enjoy being with him. So like it always changes depending on, where you've been. Right. And, so when do you, intend is whenever you think about the situation. When do you stop intending for something? When you actually see it manifest. So, that's when I would stop intending. I like to, but it's not a 24/7 intend like a crazy person. It's like whenever I think of the situation, like, oh, he's mad at me. I'm like, no, he's over it. He's going to apologize. And I say one more intention, like Andrew will never leave me and he always takes responsibility. Then I move on to something else in my day and my thoughts, right? And then if it comes back up again, then I do another few more intentions, do an opposite of the negative thought I had. Plus I add like 2 or 3 more just for good luck, well, you can never have too many good intentions, right? And then, and that's just really how it goes. So how many times do you need to intend for something in your day? Depends on how often you think about it.
Yeah, it depends on what your mental state is. Yeah, if you're bummed out, and, yeah,
there is no set rule. Like, I mean, right now, everything's great in my relationship. Probably ain't going to intend at all, for Andrew at this point. So, because everything is going great. But anyways, guys, you know what? We thank you so much. Just to recap, how to get your ex back. What you actually want to do is revise your story. Okay. And then, when you have revised your story, you want to persist. And if you're persisting and you're feeling like you're really not getting anywhere, you want to change up your intentions, change up your affirmations. What are you going to see, hear, and feel? And then you also want to create some small things, that get you back into that God state and give you the motivation and inspiration to like basically really relax into your intentions. So yeah. So thank you so much for being here today, Aletha.
Thank you very much for having me. It was fun.
No problem. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.